fine.
And if people wanted to stay here longer, I mean, there are some less.
Okay.
I'm sure guys pick your brain for people will pick your brain
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Mike Manning, everybody give him a round of applause. And we just love it when TrackMan supports us. And TrackMan is great for many different things. So I'll touch on one thing because I brought him out here to demonstrate something and I talked over everything. Hopefully you thought it was valuable. But anyway, capturing, so how do I know that this is better? I make more birdies. How do I know my dispersion pattern's better? I use TrackMan. I hit shots in dispersion. He has, and you can talk to him about it, but TrackMan has a new, what's it called? Test Center. So you may be familiar with Combine, but I think Test Center is even way better than that because what it does is it starts to create a real simulation for you, the golfer, to really test whether or not you can do these things under pressure. I said filter it under pressure. How do you practice under pressure? You use the Test Center because what it does is it gives you an opportunity to put a pin in a back right hole location surrounded by bunkers and simulate what kind of shots am I going to hit. Do I know my dispersion pattern for a 200-yard shot versus a 110-yard shot, etc. So if you want to learn more about Test Center, talk to Mike about that. I think it's great. I'm going to use it a lot with my students, especially in the indoor setting. All right, check out this video real quick.
My wedge, 120. Well, you might hit a 120 under certain conditions, but in the morning, ball's not going to go 120. Maybe in the afternoon when it's warmer and the ball heats up, but it's going to go 5 to 10 yards short in the morning. People don't factor that in. If you get a little bit of water in between the club face and the ball, people don't know, it actually increases spin, causes it to go shorter. The first cut always comes out 6 to 8 yards dead. If the grain is into you, it's going to launch and hit lower on the face, launch lower, have more spin. If it's down grain, the club slides a little bit quicker, you'll get more out of it. If it's sitting up on zoysia or off of a tee, always goes 5 yards farther with each iron based on the fact that the center of gravity is underneath the ball and it launches higher, a little bit less spin. All these things I have to factor in when I look at I hit my...
Okay, David Ferdy's looking at him going, that's why I'm not on tour anymore, right? I mean, now we're into Golf IQ. Perfect example there. When you're looking at that trim 5 and you're trying to figure out, okay, so if you have this question, you're like, oh gosh, I always putt well on bent grass. But when I go to Bermuda, I don't make any putts. Okay, anybody had that thought? Or vice versa? Yeah, right? It happens. Why? You don't know what you don't know. So go learn as much as you can. I've gone through book after book of agronomy, understanding root structures, the way grain works, the way the leaf grows. Is one leaf a different height in an A4 bent versus a standard bent? I mean, this is like Phil Mickelson going through all that stuff versus wet versus zoysia versus whatever. It's called leaving no stone unturned, right? If I want to be better and I want to compete at the highest level, I'm going to flip over every single stone I come across until I find an answer that's suitable to me. So when I'm playing in a tournament and putting has become like my main focus because 15 years ago I had the yips and I couldn't make a 3-foot putt. I was the guy that they always said, Craig is the best ball striker that's not on tour because I couldn't make a putt. So I said, you know what, forget that. I'm going to figure out everything I can about putting, which includes grasses, greens, green reading, and everything else. And I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And I'm going to make myself the best putter. So now when I look at my shot length data, I'm strokes gained on the PGA Tour in putting. That's I made it through Q School, through 3 stages of Q School, through the final 6 rounds at Q School to get at the time, a Nationwide Tour card and then a Web.com card. Now the Korn Ferry Tour, right? So I got there, but the only reason I got there was because I became an awesome putter. And I'm still an awesome putter because I'm still doing the same things. But part of that was understanding grasses and greens and all that kind of stuff. So food for thought, it's called Golf IQ. Decade might make you smarter, Aaron, look into it, right? Scott Fawcett, who created that whole system, I have his number if you want it. You can talk to him about it because he was so frustrated that he was one of the longest hitters in the US Open that he qualified for, but he couldn't get the ball in the hole because his mental state was, I just need to get it in the fairway, chip it down the fairway, when he was one of the longest hitters, and he should have been bombing it over corners, trying to use his asset. Okay? Okay, let's see what else I got. Confidence, right? So we'll wrap this up with confidence. Big long list, right? We can go over this. We'll have a couch session. You got to line up after Devin.
If you wanted to stay longer and if people have to go, they could leave.
Okay,
Some
I'm
people,
fine with it.
I mean, if you guys have a time commitment at 12, but if you want to chat about it a little longer, if people
You guys want me to keep going for a bit? I mean, this is kind of a big one.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. And if you have to leave, just wave and then I'll catch you later.
I'll throw an extra MSR point on there.
Oh, sure. That's worth it. Okay. And I didn't even hit really any trick shots. So, confidence. Okay. I had confidence that Annie was going to show up and let me in the building. Right? What's another word for that? Trusted that she was going to do that, or somebody was going to be here, right, to let me in. So when Weston was going to be here, he's the one that flipped the lights on. He was out mowing greens when I got here. He's doing everything. Confidence is just another word for trust. Okay? So when you have lost confidence, you've lost trust. Now, funnel it through those four, the other four ones. What have you lost trust in? Have you lost trust in your equipment? Have you lost trust in your skill? Have you lost trust in your body? That was a big one for me a couple years ago. I was like, gosh, if I'm going to try to play in any of these PGAs or PGA Tour events, I got to at least be able to walk, right? So I've lost a belt size. I've lost probably 10 pounds, but I'm converting that into muscle. But the main thing for me is my belt looks better. So when I'm on TV and if I get a picture taken of me, I don't have my belly sticking out like this. I can at least look a little bit trimmer. But the main thing is sustainability for me to be able to have the stamina to actually walk, right? I'm blessed with good feet. I don't get blisters. I'm blessed with good knees and hips. I don't get worn out. But you can't take that stuff for granted. I could feel my knees getting a little bit more, having a little bit more strain on them because I was carrying more body weight and I wasn't getting out there and doing it, right? So I lost trust in my physical part. Golf IQ. David Faraday looks like he lost trust in all of his golf IQ, right? After listening to Mickelson, he's like, I don't know any of that stuff, right? Or he's probably thinking, wow, that's way over the top and that's crazy. But from Mickelson's perspective and my perspective is this: he's just leaving nothing, no stone unturned, right? He's just trying to figure out exactly what he needs to focus on. And it all happens like that. I played with Arter yesterday and he's like, wow, it was so good to actually play with you in a tournament. Because when I play with the guys at Glenwild, I'm just out working on stuff. Like I got my list of things I'm working on when I play with them. I might make a few birdies and make a few bogeys. And they look at me and they're like, how can this guy qualify for a major championship or hold his own in a PGA Tour event when I can at least tie him for 9 holes at Glenwild? What's the separation, right? But what they don't realize is I'm not the same person. I'm out over here working on stuff at Glenwild. I'm not focused, whereas Arter actually got to see me in matches and see me hit certain shots. And the point that he made was you just go through it differently. You look at the shot differently. He's like, I could stand there watching you go through your shot and you could see the wheels turning in your head as to what you were trying to figure out. And he's like, that's what I need to learn. All he gets is distance and maybe wind direction and lie, but he's not factoring in the leave. He's not factoring in the miss. He's not factoring in all those things. Well, how can you focus on one thing if you're stressed on another, right? So he also was struggling tremendously with his putting. We got him a different putter, and now he has way more confidence that the ball's actually going to get to the hole with some consistency. Well, he told me yesterday, well, this is so great that the ball's doing what I want, and I'm starting it online now. Now I can focus on green reading. Boom, revelation, new thing, right? That's gone, now you change your focus. So when you don't have confidence, you've lost confidence in something, and you've lost trust in something, right? So when you're looking at this, you kind of have to go through kind of an inventory of what it is, right? So a couple of questions for you. Confidence in what or how, right? So what comes first? Proving out your process or believing you're the best? When I was having the yips, I read everything I could from Stockton to Crenshaw, read everything I could about green reading, putter fitting, did the whole thing, put it into process, worked it out. And one of the things I told myself is I am the best putter in the world. I do not suck anymore at putting. I'm the best. And one of the reasons why I'm the best is because I left no stone unturned and I figured it out. And I even went so far as to start making my own putters, because your standard putter, and I'll give you a quick little sales pitch on my putter. Every putter on the market has a rounded sole to the bottom, and this is just a really, really simple point, right? You wonder, why are putters rounded? I don't know. Nobody has that answer. Okay? So if nobody knows the answer, why are putters rounded, I can tell you why they shouldn't be rounded. Who in here has had a custom putter fitting? Raise your hand. Name, right? Lie angle is important. Okay, with a rounded sole of a putter, you can set the putter on the heel or the toe, and you will be 1, 2, 3 degrees off of your lie angle that the best putter fitter you know prescribed for you. So on Monday, you're dead on. Tuesday, you're toe down. Wednesday, you're heel down. Thursday, you're back on track, and you're changing by 1 degree. Now look at what happens to the handle at that end, right? Let's see, I put it right here. Okay, this has a flat sole. On this piece of plastic, you hear that? That's me going heel, toe, heel, toe. That's me finding dead flat. Now in my putters, you can see from there, I have forward shaft lean. You can see it's the same forward shaft lean. If I go like this, that's me going front, back, front, back. How do I know it's soled? It's flat. Anybody can figure that out. You ever take a glass and sit it on your table crooked and let it fall over and spill water? No, you don't. You take the glass and you put the bottom of the glass right on the table. Boom, flat. Then you let go of it because you have confidence that it's there. This putter, when I plop it down, is the same every time. Rounded soles, look at this. All right? How far is that handle moving? You can see it. That's like ready for 1 degree. How far is that grip end moving? Inch or more. Let's go 2 degrees. Right? So if you're setting your putter down and it's one day of the week, you're like, boom, making everything. What happens if the handle moves an inch? Right? What happens to your eye line if the handle's moving an inch? That's why I make putters with flat soles. So now you're all sold. Sold.
I'll take it.
Okay, so leave no stone unturned. Create a process, buy into the process, and then tell yourself you're the best at whatever it is. You have to do a little bit of soul searching, go through some stuff. I got some videos that I was going to show. Here we go. Star Wars reference. I'm going to show you one last video, then we'll call it quits. Okay, so this is just kind of like power of the mind stuff. Okay.
To fix a refrigerated boxcar in back of a train. He goes into the train, he panics, gets himself locked inside the boxcar. So now he's pounding on the door, there's nothing to do. He starts to panic and thinks he's going to freeze to death. He finds a pen, he starts writing down, Tom, what's going through his mind, and he writes down, I'm becoming colder. As people, one of the things we do to ourselves is observe and report. I'm not playing well, I'm having a bad day, we're having a bad quarter, my marriage isn't going well. We observe and report. Still colder now, he writes, nothing to do but wait. Half asleep, I could hardly write. Finally, he says, these might be my last words. And I'll show you the article. They open up the boxcar many hours later and they find him and he's dead. But the temperature inside the boxcar was 56 degrees. The freezing apparatus was broken. There was plenty of air in the boxcar. There was no physical reason for his death. The best they could say is somehow he talked himself into dying.
Pretty extreme example, right? Poor guy talked himself into dying. Why was he there? Why was he there? He was there to fix the boxcar. He was there to fix the refrigeration of the boxcar. He went there to fix something that was broken. He just threw it in. He didn't have an emergency response protocol. He didn't know how to properly do that. If in his toolbox of stuff he had a temperature gauge, a thermometer, and he just popped that thing open and looked at it, he'd be like, well, guess I'll just hang out in here and watch some YouTube TV for a while, whatever. Like, he wouldn't have freaked himself out to the point where he felt like he had to document his own death as he was feeling colder and colder and colder. He actually went there to fix the thing that he freaked himself out about, right? So, last part, when you're dealing with the stresses and strains of life and you're dealing with that confidence and you're losing trust in one thing or another, yes, you need to go through your trim 5, identify the percentage worth of effort and focus on that percentage of effort and try to improve that, and don't try to eat the whole elephant in one bite. Bite it off, one piece at a time. The one very important part of that is you have to have this type of a system, because this type of a system becomes your emergency response protocol. One of the most important things that a pilot learns is how to land the plane, right? Not take off. One of the most important things a pilot learns is if engines go out, what do you do? Right? If you've read some of the sports psychology books, I think it was out of Bob Rotella, it was like, if you're going to crash that plane, do you go against the grain of the corn in the cornfield, or do you go down the rows? Do you land on a highway? Do you land, where do you land, right? So you have to have an emergency response protocol. So what I've done in my golf life is I've said, you know what, my emergency response protocol is to not freak out. Number 1, don't panic. Number 2, I have to make sure that as I go through my troubleshooting, I do it in a systematic, logical way. And at the end of the round, I think back and I go, okay, yesterday, Thanksgiving point, okay, boom, 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 driver through the bag, great, everything was good there, equipment, check, body, didn't put sunscreen on soon enough, didn't hydrate well enough, didn't drink my electrolyte packets, need to do that better next time. That goes in the physical wellness category. Technique, the new flop shot I was working on paid off, putting was good, iron play was good, golf IQ. I went and did a practice round on Saturday, so I was prepared for Thanksgiving point. I knew the course. Confidence, I was feeling really confident because I had just come back from playing the Club Pro Championship. I had done well there. I was feeling pretty good about all the other factors of my game. So one of those things that I learned when I played Waste Management Phoenix Open, I missed the cut on Saturday and Sunday. I was walking around the tournament and I caught myself doing this. So all I was doing was stretching this arm. And then I thought for a second, what am I doing? I was like, oh, it's tight. Why is it tight? Oh, you were squeezing tight. On hole 16, we got 20,000 people in front of you. You might accidentally squeeze the club just a little bit tighter. So I identified that. So yesterday, when I played, I was like, you know what? Keep that thing loose. So every time I got set up, if I felt myself squeezing, I would back off, get back in there and lighten up that grip pressure. And it really helped, with the exception of one swing, it really helped all of my release patterns. So hopefully the information that you've gotten in our session today has been valuable. Hopefully it's kind of opened your eyes. one of the things as a PGA professional I wanted to make sure I communicate is just work together. We all kind of live a similar life in the sense, so it's really hard to sit down across the table and have a nice conversation about life with somebody who's in tech and they're designing apps and you're over here teaching golf lessons. So reach out to each other, work with each other, help each other with your games. And if you don't have that person, you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to get my cell phone number, email, everything else, and stay connected. You can do me a solid by going on your phone and going on to my YouTube channel and subscribing. And you can also go to my Instagram account and follow me there. I try not to put anything out there boring, but that's just how life goes, right? So I really appreciate your time. I'll stick around if anybody's got any more questions. Thank you very much.
Obviously, Craig can stay here for a couple days and just keep going. There's a lot of knowledge. I love how deep you go into everything and how, you know, there is no stone unturned with what you're doing with your own game, and it definitely can push over and move over to our students. So I think it's great stuff. So yeah, again, if anybody wants to stick around and ask a few other questions, obviously there's a lot of knowledge in that brain. I learned a lot there, especially that preparation and all that stuff you talked about towards the end, agronomy, and from a guy that, you know, I want to go and talk to you, and I told you I got Ian Baker-Finch syndrome with the driver. I want to hear what I need to start reading and what I need to start doing. So good stuff. Thanks so much for your willingness to do it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hands up, he wanted to do it. He's like, I'll help anytime. And I love your thought of, we got 375 of us in this section, and we're here to help each other get better in our jobs, but be better players. If we play more golf, I think it's something that we can share with our people that were at the courses. I was talking about how, you know, we all get in that mode of, you know, when somebody comes in and says, oh, isn't it the best thing? You're a golf pro, you do this, you play golf every day, and you give them that, well, I haven't played for 2 months, you know, or we give them that line. I mean, a lot of you in here play a lot, so that's good. But that's really bad that I say that or we say that, because we want our people to play more.
Well, that's the biggest motivator to playing more golf is playing better golf.
Absolutely. That's why
you play better, you're like, I want to go play more.
It's not that much fun when you're not getting the shot you're used to or whatever. So anyway, thanks again, Craig. Great stuff. And we'll throw everybody an extra MSR point on there, which nobody's here for MSRs, I know. But anyway, thanks. Good stuff. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.